2022, I played at a senior director, VP level in IT. And I know people right now who are getting, $1 million a year packages with salary and then also with equity comp, pre-IPO, some post-IPO, but it's there with, let's say, a 20-degree variance. You can then go sign a 4-year contract for $4 million a year and you're at this level. Do you want to go up? Do you want to navigate? How do you stay relevant? Also keeping an eye on, how well your team is performing, right? Same thing like an NFL team. Is your team, winning? Are they moving forward? Are you on the special teams and the special teams is getting hammered and they may release the coach and everybody on that? So I love this analogy, and it is important because when you are there as a team, you want to be all in, you want to be wearing the jersey, you are an owner in that company, you're getting some shares, but also understanding that you can be cut at any time, but knowing and understanding your free market value. That's one of the things I like to talk to people about is you're a free agent in this market and you have to be clear on the value that you can deliver, because the trade for equity, because that's what it is, right? I'm trading my time and my talent for equity. That's the negotiation. And if I'm clear on what I'm bringing to the table and the value of that in the marketplace, I know what other free agents are out there. I know how I can compete against them. That's going to allow you to stay relevant. That's going to allow you to negotiate and stay in the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're transitioning from the income to the balance sheet. Treat your career like an NFL contract, and I'm going to add on, and yourself like a free agent. Grow your approach to money. Go beyond the DIY.
Regardless, whether we're talking about the skill set that you need to be successful in your career, or we're talking about that small business owner. Early on in our 20s and our 30s, we really are on our own, and you've got to kind of figure things out for yourself and kind of navigate things individually. But it's usually in your 30s when we talk about money to where you get really busy in your career and you may start to get really busy in your life, and time becomes limited and extremely valuable. Time's kind of the first thing, money's the second. The amount of money that you start dealing with, you reach a point where if I try to do this on my own and I mess it up, there's a real cost to those mistakes for me. And so go beyond just trying to do it yourself. And this is where a lot of the financial press is really doing, tech employees a disservice, because a lot of what's written out there has been written about, fees. And I'm all about, making sure that you're getting good value for the fees that you pay. But a lot of what's written is about avoiding fees at all costs, which is usually going to end up with you trying to do this yourself for free. And I've just seen so many examples on the tax side, of mistakes that tens of thousands of dollars. And then on the investment side, that's where we can get into that $1 million mistake, where any good advisor could see this coming, could have warned you about it and recommended a different course of action. And then it's only kind of after that experience has become real to you and you've gone through the pain of that loss that you start to recognize how much it hurts and how costly those experiences can be. So just avoid it. Recognize that point at which I'm limiting myself by trying to do this on my own. I don't have to do this anymore. And I'm going to experience better results by, hiring someone else to help me with this so that I can focus on the things that only I can do, that no one else can do for me. And a lot of times that's going to be related to your career.
I 100% think that you are correct, right? That when you get to the point where you're ultimately managing millions of dollars and all of the different specialties that come with that, whether that's asset protection, risk management as insurance, wealth management, where do you invest your money, tax exposure, 100%. Now, the lens, and I think the conversation is so important for us to have, is how do we build trust, or how do we do this in a way where people feel comfortable? Because to your point, Landon, there are, let's just call it what it is, there are definitely people out there in the financial services industry that, like any other business, right? You have great practitioners, you have poor practitioners. And I think some of the poor ones give it a bad name. And so that's why I think it is important for technology employees to know a few things as they're walking down the street. I think that you're going to agree with me. I'm pretty sure. Number one is you can go to fee-only financial advisors and you can go get advice that has nothing to do with wealth management, but they can walk you through a financial plan and explain things to you for a flat fee. That's what we did after our first IPO is we sat down, we'd been very much DIYers when it came to the financial planning side. And we said, let's go start talking to people. And that was a great way to build trust. The other thing is you can go and engage a very experienced tax professional that will make sure that you limit all those mistakes directly as well. But to your point, Landon, you will not be able to experience the growth as an individual. You're not going to start breaking past the 10 million and beyond and really growing barrier until you assemble a team, until you start managing it as a business. You will become that limiting factor.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one of the great things about the change from when I started in this industry to now is it's a lot easier to find, those good providers who are out there. And there's also a lot more people to choose from. And so when we talk about fee-only financial advice, you've got a range of people, from people who will, meet with you hourly or in a limited engagement, to people who will provide advice only, but in more of an ongoing relationship, to, kind of that full wealth management. So there's a lot more consumer choice that's out there.
Right.
And then on the tax side, one of the things about how we have developed our service is we used to hear a lot from tech employees who would say, I go to a financial advisor, I go, okay, what should I do? And they'll kind of tell me what they think I should do. And I'll go, well, what about taxes? Well, we don't do taxes. And then I go to a tax professional and I say, hey, what should I do? And they say, well, you tell me what you want to do and I'll tell you what the taxes are. And so there was really this frustration that was there. And that's one of the things we've tried to solve for by combining financial planning, investments, and tax as one whole instead of three different pieces where there's not communication going on between the three and where you're having to spend more of your time trying to manage those different providers instead of having, a team of professionals who are working on the whole.
That's really important. And I think to your point, there's a lot more choices today. And I think that people have the opportunity to go out and select. And, what I always try to let people know is take your time, talk to a few people, understand where your fit is philosophically. You want to be able to feel comfortable. And at the end of the day, it goes back to when you're not the DIY, you are the CEO of your business. And sometimes you will need to let people go.
Yep.
Right? You need to be able to say, this isn't working out. Yes, it'll be painful, but I have to let you go. We have a story where we had an amazing woman who helped us with our taxes for many, many years. And the reality is she was getting close to retirement age. She wasn't taking on clients. And we saw where we were in our growth path. And we realized that her business was sort of on the back end side. And she was happy to continue serving us. But we realized, let's make the transition now so that we can move forward. Now we have more private equity holding and real estate holding. Let's try and find somebody who's not just tech stock oriented, but who can do a more full service for our family. And was it painful? Of course. At the same time, are we in a much better position? We believe so.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and if you're working with a really good professional, someone who is operating for you as a fiduciary, then, they have a role to play in that too, to be willing to say to you, like, I would love continuing to work with you, but for these specific reasons, we're starting to push the boundaries of what I'm really good at. And love you, want to keep working together, but I think we need to have a conversation about whether or not, it's time for you to either add someone else for a specific piece, or, if another firm and another provider can better serve you. And holding on too long has a cost. And so a client, when we talk about taxes, hired us, said, hey, I've got a tax preparer that I really like. It's a relationship I've had for a while. I want to keep working with them. And I said, fine, that works for me. I'll give them whatever they need and then, can take a look at the return. And that worked for a couple years until after the IPO, where you had all these different pieces of equity going on, and that tax preparer did not know how to match that W-2 to that 1099-B, and was telling the client, $600,000 of income that's on both the W-2 and the 1099-B, and it's taxable in both places, and was telling my client, you should pay $200,000 in tax that you don't actually owe. So had to navigate that, and have seen a lot of other examples like that. So there's definitely a point at which relationships that you've had, your situation has changed, and those relationships need to change.